The crimson sky of Vorthak Prime stretched endlessly above the scarred battlefield, its twin suns casting harsh shadows across the alien amphitheater carved into living rock. Thousands of creatures from across the galaxy packed the terrace seats, their varied forms creating a grotesque tapestry of scales, chitin, and synthetic flesh. They had come to witness the trial of endurance, a ritualistic combat that would determine humanity's place in the Galactic Coalition. Either humanity would prove their worth, or they would be deemed too weak to survive among the stars. At the center of the arena, a human soldier lay crumpled on the dust-covered ground, his combat armor cracked and bleeding hydraulic fluid, like metallic blood. His breathing came in ragged gasps, each inhalation sending fire through his chest, where broken ribs ground against each other. The alien warrior standing over him was magnificent in her cruelty, 7 feet of rippling muscle, beneath midnight blue scales. Her elongated skull, crowned with bone spikes that gleamed like polished obsidian. The Vorthaki were known throughout the galaxy for their physical superiority, their bones like titanium, their pain tolerance legendary. They had never met an equal in single combat. "Is this the best your pathetic species can offer?" she snarled, her voice carrying the authority of a born predator. Her clawed foot hovered above his chest, and the crowd leaned forward in anticipation. "Look at you, broken by a single strike. Your kind bleeds like prey." The jeers from the alien spectators echoed off the arena walls. A cacophony of clicks, roars, and mechanical whirs that spoke of humanity's apparent inferiority. The Vorthaki warrior's eyes blazed with contempt as she prepared to deliver the killing blow that would seal humanity's fate as a slave species. But the human didn't beg, didn't plead for mercy, or try to crawl away. Instead, he lifted his head just enough to lock eyes with his tormentor, blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. "Go ahead," he whispered, his voice steady despite the agony. "Right there on the ribs. Put your weight behind it." Confusion flickered across the alien's predatory features. In her culture, the defeated groveled or died with honor. They didn't issue invitations for further violence. She had expected screams, perhaps final words of defiance, but not this strange calm. Her foot pressed down harder, feeling the give of damaged bone beneath his armor. "You mock me, human. Even in defeat, your arrogance knows no bounds." "Not mocking," he managed, his breathing shallow but controlled. "Just grateful for the assist." His words made no sense to her, but the certainty in his voice planted the first seed of doubt in her mind. With a roar of frustrated rage, she brought her full weight down on his chest. The sound that followed was wet and violent, the unmistakable crack of bones snapping under pressure. The crowd erupted in approval, certain they had just witnessed humanity's humiliation. But instead of the expected scream of agony, the human let out a long, shuddering breath of pure relief. His body relaxed against the arena floor, the rigid tension of pain dissolving from his muscles like morning mist. "Thank you," he said simply, his voice now clearer, stronger. "I couldn't get that rib back into place myself." He shifted slightly, testing his range of motion, and the alien warrior took an involuntary step backward. The bone had been displaced, floating free and stabbing at his lung with every breath. Her attack had driven it back into alignment, and already his body's remarkable healing mechanisms were beginning their work. The Vorthaki stared in disbelief, her tactical mind struggling to process what she had witnessed. In her species' history of conquest, no defeated enemy had ever thanked their executioner. Around the arena, her squadmates laughed and jeered, thinking she had delivered the perfect psychological blow, humiliating the human even as she broke him. But she could see something in his eyes that chilled her warrior's heart. Not gratitude, born of madness, but the calculating assessment of a predator that had just gained an advantage. Memories flickered through the human's mind as he lay there, phantom echoes of training that had forged him into something more than human. He remembered the endless hours in field hospitals, watching medics reset bones without anesthetic, while artillery pounded overhead. He could hear his drill sergeant's voice. "Pain is information, soldier. Process it, file it, and keep moving." On the frozen plains of Europa, he had watched his squadmate Martinez walk 3 miles on a compound fracture, using the pain to stay conscious in the killing cold. On the jungle world of Kepler 442b, Lieutenant Torres had reset her own dislocated shoulder against a tree trunk, gritting her teeth and continuing the mission because her team needed her alive more than they needed her comfortable. Humans had learned to weaponize their own fragility, to turn weakness into strength through sheer stubborn refusal to surrender. Where other species evolved armor or claws or venom, humanity had evolved something far more dangerous: the ability to endure. They broke, but they healed. They bled, but they adapted. Pain became fuel, injury became motivation, and death itself was just another obstacle to overcome through pure determination. The human rolled to his side and began to stand, his movements careful but deliberate. The alien warrior watched in growing unease as he rose to his full height, somehow steadier now than he had been before her attack. His hand went to his chest, probing gently, and he nodded with satisfaction. Much better. The bones seated properly now. I can feel it knitting already. His immune system was already flooding the injury site with growth factors and stem cells, beginning repairs that would take our species weeks to complete. From her elevated platform overlooking the arena, the Vorthaki commander leaned forward, her ancient eyes narrowing as she studied the human with new interest. She had conquered 17 species across 12 systems, and never had she seen anything like this. Her whispered words carried clearly in the sudden hush. They endure injury like fuel for their engines. This changes everything. They are not prey awaiting slaughter. They are predators disguised as victims. The murmur that rippled through the assembled aliens carried undertones of fear that had been absent moments before. The crystalline hegemony's representative clicked its mandibles nervously. The biomechanical collective's drones exchanged rapid data bursts. Even the energy-based choir of Proxima hummed discordant harmonics as they processed this new information about humanity's nature. The duel resumed with desperate fury as the alien warrior launched herself forward, her claws extended like surgical instruments designed to flay flesh from bone. Her attacks were precise and devastating, each strike aimed at nerve clusters and pressure points that would cripple or kill. But the human moved like water around her violence, absorbing what he couldn't avoid and redirecting what he couldn't absorb. When her claws raked across his forearm, opening parallel cuts to the bone, he smiled through gritted teeth and used the blood to improve his grip on her wrist. His cardiovascular system responded to trauma the way a combat computer responds to targeting data efficiently, automatically, and with deadly precision. Adrenaline sharpened his reflexes to superhuman levels. Endorphins dulled the sharp edges of pain while leaving him fully functional. His body's stress response didn't just help him survive the encounter. It made him more dangerous with every passing second. The alien commander's aide, a nervous skitterer from the outer rim, chittered anxiously as it watched the human's transformation. "Commander, his biometrics are anomalous. Heart rate elevated but steady. Brain activity increasing rather than decreasing with injury accumulation. This is not normal prey behavior." "No," the commander replied, her voice heavy with the weight of terrible realization. "This is apex predator behavior. We have been hunting the wrong species." Below them, the human finally went on the offensive. His movements were economical, each strike calculated for maximum effect with minimum energy expenditure. When the alien warrior lunged with her killing claws extended, he sidestepped and trapped her arm against his body, using her own momentum to snap her wrist with surgical precision. The weapon fell from nerveless fingers, and suddenly the predator had become prey. He could have killed her, then his hands were positioned perfectly to crush her throat or snap her neck. Instead, he held her there, close enough that she could smell the iron scent of his blood and feel the steady rhythm of his heartbeat. "Thank you again," he whispered, his breath warm against her ear. "For fixing me, for showing me what I needed to become." The crowd fell silent, thousands of alien voices stilled by the impossible sight of their champion, held helpless by a creature they had dismissed as weak. The human released his grip and stepped back, offering his opponent the chance to yield with honor intact. She remained frozen, her predator's instincts screaming warnings about the dangerous creature standing before her. The Vorthaki commander rose from her throne, her voice carrying the authority of eons. "Enough. I have seen what I came to see." She turned to face the assembled representatives of the Galactic Coalition, her words measured and deliberate. "We came here believing humans were merely another species of clever prey, to be catalogued and contained. We were wrong." The defeated warrior knelt in the arena dust, her entire worldview shattered like glass. Her species valued strength above all else, and she had just witnessed strength redefined in terms she barely comprehended. "You heal through pain," she whispered, her voice barely audible above the crowd's murmur. The human nodded, understanding passing between warrior and warrior, despite the gulf of species and culture. "Every scar teaches us something new. Every break shows us how to be stronger when we mend. We don't stop, we adapt. We overcome. We endure." Around them, the alien spectators leaned forward, drinking in his words like revelations from an oracle. Some recorded everything for later analysis. Others transmitted real-time reports back to their home worlds. In the months that followed, The ripple effects of that single combat would reshape galactic politics. Some species sought alliance with humanity, eager to learn the secrets of their endurance. Others retreated to heavily fortified systems, viewing humans as an existential threat to be contained at all costs. The collective began breeding programs designed to incorporate human resilience into their biomechanical soldiers. The Hegemony commissioned studies on human psychology and physiology, trying to understand how a species could weaponize suffering itself. But in that moment, as twin suns began their descent toward the alien horizon, there was only the human standing victorious in the arena where he had been expected to die. His armor was cracked, his body bore fresh scars that would join countless others, and every breath sent echoes of pain through his healing ribs. Yet he stood taller than the champions of species that had never known defeat, unbowed by injuries that would have crippled warriors twice his size. The stars stretched across the void above them, silent witnesses to humanity's first step toward true membership in the galactic community. In council chambers across 1,000 worlds, representatives would debate whether humans should be embraced as allies or feared as a threat. Some would vote for integration, others for containment, and a few for preemptive elimination. But they all agreed on one fundamental truth that would echo through the ages. She had kicked his broken rib expecting a scream, but he had thanked her for the healing. And in that moment, the greatest weapon of humanity had been revealed. They never stayed broken long enough to accept defeat.